I know you're all looking forward to a detailed discussion of Form T661 relating to the SR&ED tax credits, going over it in a very granular way. I can see the energy pick up in the room. No, actually, I'm going to talk about the subways in Paris, but let me get to the first observation. Really, the first thing to consider: nothing happens without leadership, and I'm sure you agree, Mr. Lortie. Nothing happens. So I want to recognize Peter, who is the newest member of CATA's Leadership Council, with a mission to help Atlantic Canada companies grow, with a mission to help boost that whole innovation culture in Atlantic Canada. So Peter, your leadership will be critical. Now, some practical things. We've just set up a new office here, headed by Emily Boucher, for some very practical things. We've got some resources that can help out. For example, if you have a difficulty with an R&D tax claim, if you're looking for the new Canary funding on commercialization, if you're interested in national security markets, that's advanced technology solutions for security. We have a big community there. And Emily will be helping connect you with those resources. So we want to basically bring that right here in a very, very present way. So we've got leadership, and then we've got the practical delivery of services. And we heard from the Premier the urgency that we face. And I guess that's an overriding comment as you look at competition coming out of Asia and elsewhere. You look at mobility and the openness of markets. You can feel the pressure. And I think we're at a point actually where we really don't fully understand that it's time to pull those red levers and sound the bell, because we're going to have to move fast in order to keep pace. And hence, what we've thought of within CATA is to create a very open platform for people to comment, for people to guide, for people to engage. So I'm going to have a rather short presentation, then I'm going to have a conversation with you. The program we put together under Terry Matthews, one of CATA's leading entrepreneurs, is called Innovation Nation. And I knew that I was going to be like the cleanup batter here. So we've sent you that already. You probably have it on your iPhones right now. The 26 recommendations, which of course saves me from going over 26 recommendations. But if you think about our report card for this year, we didn't do bad. We asked for a doubling of IRAP funding. That happened. We were approached, actually working with FMC Law, on an issue called Certificate 116. It was a red tape issue that affected capital flows into Canada from the US. Well, they fixed that. And lo and behold, 3 years after we tabled the idea of the government being a marketplace for technologies, reference accounts, they initiated a commercialization innovation program. 3 years later, we saw the little rabbit on the door. There was a success. So it's quite interesting when you organize, you form groups, and you get creative ideas exactly what can appear. Now, those 26 recommendations fall in 3 areas. And really, if you keep life simple, I think you make more progress. And those 3 areas are people, intellectual capital, basically, markets, and money. So if you can figure out those 3 areas, and if we can be creative in Canada with coming up with some solutions and advancements, then I think we advance the whole boat rises, and we become much more successful. So what I wanted to do, first of all, you've got that on your iPhone, so you can then look at this. So what I wanted to do, as opposed to going over the 26 recommendations, I just wanted to really pick your brains under this whole idea of commenting, guiding, and engaging. So maybe, I don't know, Gary, for example. We're going to meet later. We're going to be doing a few things. We're going to be talking about and modeling some of the success stories in New Brunswick. But if you were to look at the agenda now in New Brunswick and in Canada, and under those areas of markets, money, and talent, is there something that you think is really critical? Is there something that we should really be engaging in as a discussion? What do you think?
Intellectual property, understanding it differently, pricing it differently. The creation of an innovation culture, I think, in New Brunswick is lacking. Doug and I were talking about the difference between Canada and the US on that whole matter of innovation and startups and risk and so on. I mean, here I think we have a different attitude about startups and taking risk. Whereas in Palo Alto, I can tell you it's encouraged, it's a whole different dynamic here that needs to change.
So you would elevate that whole idea. Any lawyers in the room? That could help us with that.
Whole table here, John.
So let's follow up on that. And as you know, we have a whole template that we put together to resolve specific issues. And my key thing is, tell me in one paragraph what the ask is. So there's a bill with IP. What about, I know I hate to call on people. Are there some volunteers before I actually, put you on the spot? Do we have another thought on what we should be discussing? What is the priority?
I'd squeeze Doug Robertson a little harder.
Doug, we're squeezing you. Where are you? Yes. What's your top of the list? What do we have to move on?
Well, I think we've got to get more broadly the community engaged and helping us move the agenda forward. We've gone through that process with what we built in Southeast New Brunswick with leadership from local government, from industry, from our research and academic institutions got together to have a dialogue about what do we need to do to accelerate innovation-based growth in our region. It's not unique to us. You see the same story in Waterloo, you see the same story in other communities across the country. But it starts by getting that broadly based buy-in engagement to drive the agenda forward. We did it in Southeast. I think we need to do it more broadly across New Brunswick.
So you need that sort of accelerate that community knitting, so you get leverage basically by combining all those forces together. I mean, that's a good point, and as you know, one of the reasons we want to be active here is we think we can have something to add as part of leverage. We have a great consultant and great activity in China, fed for many years, very involved in public safety and security. Why shouldn't that sit in New Brunswick? If you have a security company, if you're looking at that market and exploring opportunity, why shouldn't we bring that to you and add to the resources and prospects of success for some of the enterprises here, which we like to do. So I think that's a good point. Other ideas? Yes, please.
Yeah, one of the frustrations that I have with New Brunswickers is the desire to stick our heads in the sand with regards to social media.
You're hitting my passion point here.
Well, it's a kind of, I don't understand it, then therefore it can't be possible. And I'm sorry the preview's gone also, because my understanding, for example, that the government does not allow its people to use Facebook as a way to communicate internationally. Now, maybe that's changed now, I'm not quite sure, but we want to attract young people, but then we cut off their ability to communicate.
That, by the way, that is a critical issue because we have to work with all governments and all organizations. And if they don't have access to the tools that are used today, I think of I used to hire students to send their newsletter to 2,000 people. When I push a button now, I got to be careful when I push that button. Talking about perhaps one of the new technologies at the Port Authority here, which we're going to do a profile on. That goes to 680,000 people in social media, not including the RRS feeds, not including the direct email. So you've got social media that is creating a tremendous resource for entrepreneurs if it's used quickly. It's also the communication tool for this generation. I mean, watch what your kids do. So to have the government say, well, no, because it doesn't meet this criteria, is glue. And you can't, if there's glue, I might not have never been able to pull that red lever that everyone wants to pull. So let's remove the glue. That's a very good point, and let's find out in New Brunswick whether that's the case. And let's change that.
I asked one executive, he said, do you allow your people to use Facebook? And he said, no, I wouldn't allow that. My wife uses that, just gossip. I said, would you take away their cell phone too? And it's just basic communication, that's all it is.
Very good point. Other thoughts? Yes?
I think a problem that overcomes Canada doesn't have an innovation policy. They tend to have an invention policy where they invest in invention.
Oh, I hear the nods there. You could lead a political party on this. Go ahead.
Well, it's evidence in OECD data, which puts Canada at the top for investment in academic research and in programs like IRAP for business-led innovation are grossly underfunded.
Absolutely, hence the doubling, and if you have something that works, why create something new, double, triple, quadruple the funding? Interesting too about, you talk about Canadian government policy and digital. I'm not against digital, but you know, innovation is a simpler way of doing things, which anyone can do. It can be linking golf courses together, they call them club links. It can be in the pizza shop by coming up with a quicker way to cook the pizza. Innovate, exactly. And I think we're actually not correctly categorizing, providing guidance on the discussion we're having in Canada. Digital is core, but really it's innovation. It's everyone coming up with a simpler way, more cost-effective way of doing things. So I think that's, I mean, not a bad build for when you're looking at things in Atlantic Canada. And actually, it's one of the things we're going to talk about later with a few folks is rephrasing the debate. You know, our whole theme is comment, guide, and engage. And I've actually, you know, learned quite a bit just in this discussion. In fact, we may have come up with a couple of things that we can help advance. So I want to thank you for that. And also, you know, you'll have our whole 26 recommendations. If you come up with an idea, just let us know. And our whole idea here is to basically engage and help mobilize. So thank you again for the opportunity of being here today. And thank you for the opportunity of actually working with you as we go forward.